So I guess what I wanted to talk about first was, because this is obviously like, the movie is kind of a homage to a lot of like post-apocalyptic movies, but it's also a parody, it seems like, when you have guys' torsos and...
I wouldn't use the word parody. It's really a love letter to the 80s film. We didn't want to laugh at those films.
Right.
We really wanted to tell those films that we love them, that we grew up on them, and like we still love you.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of spoof out there, and I'm kind of tired of it. I want to see something like more serious, even if the world is crazy and the characters are crazy.
Over the top, and like it's all a comic book coming to life. It's still grounded in real people.
So I mean, it seems like it's more on the edge of paying homage to.
Rather
than making fun.
Exactly. It's to know how to write that fine line.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you approach that in terms of your writing process? And like, I mean, did you start? Was there a central theme or concept that you started with? Like, we want to see this, and then move forward from there.
The crazy thing is what we wanted at the heart of the story was a love story. So we built everything around friendship, and because that was a huge theme in the 80s. If you watch Goonies or any of the John Hughes films, or I'm trying to what?
But we did have a theme. We had we wanted to do post-apocalyptic with BMX. We wanted to mix the Goonies, Famous Bandits with Mad Max, and we wanted to play with that genre.
But we should say that the movie comes from a short called Tease for Turbo. And in that short, we already have a cool concept like Mad Max, but with BMX.
Right.
But the whole short is like, it's just a fight scene.
Right.
So if we wanted to do a whole story in a full feature, we knew that we wanted to have a heart to the story and have characters that we that we care, because you can do all the gore you want or all the action set pieces, but if you don't care about the characters, like they could die and
you're going to tune out after a while.
Right. So I mean, was the main character like modeled on parts of your lives or anything in particular, or you just...
There's a bit of us in every character, I think. Well, maybe not Zeus. I've never turned people into water. Well, one time, but I was drunk, and I'm very sorry about it.
Yeah.
And I apologize to the person. Oh yeah, spoiler. But be careful with that spoiler. It's a huge spoiler. Okay.
So I guess on that note, were there like other pieces of media and like movies, like books, graphic novels, maybe that you guys looked at as you were looking at like the aesthetic and writing it and just...
definitely. Like Saturday morning cartoons were an influence. Tons of comic books, because we're comic book nerds. I would say geeks.
Well, we're all kids that grew up in the 80s in front of like Saturday morning cartoons and pajamas, eating sugary cereal, playing with our Ninja Turtles figurine, and we're also like the first kid that came from like the old school Nintendo gaming. So all of that is part of our influences, and like if you grew up in those years, you will totally connect. With the movie. Well, we hope so.
It's funny because I grew up in the 90s, but I loved all the 80s stuff because my dad did, so he would show it to me. But like, you guys had this great score by the Matas, right? Which is sort of, it's like a modern score, but it's kind of influenced, and it feels like it comes from the 80s. How did you guys decide to do that versus getting actual 80s songs?
We wanted our original score. We have one song that we added to the film, because a lot of those films had a power ballad at the beginning of their film, and we wanted that. But for the rest of the score, we wanted something that people felt nostalgic with, but at the same time would still feel modern, and you could listen to it. Like we collect records from like Goblins and all those bands because they fucking kick ass.
Yeah, and we always work with La Matos. In fact, one of the members is Jean-Philippe Bernier, is our DP, the cinematographer.
Right.
So, and we've been working with him like since 7 years, maybe more. So it was natural for us to keep to bring them on board, and we knew that
they would totally get the mood.
And we're so proud of that soundtrack.
It sounds so good.
It's a great soundtrack. I actually watched the trailer like weeks before I saw it, and then started downloading all of Matos' music because it was so good.
Oh, awesome!
It just got in my head. I mean, did you have to like sort of direct him at all and tell him what you wanted for each scene, or was it more you just recorded it first?
I think we're all on the same wavelength. Like we understand each other, and I think we all knew what we wanted the soundtrack to be. So it was not directing somebody; it was just working together.
Right.
And since Jean-Philippe was involved like before the pre-production, so he knew the story by heart. So yeah, it was easy for them to like we had some like guideline, if you could say, but they totally make it the soundtrack as a whole, and it's so much fun to have our original soundtrack.
That's really cool.
Eventually, it'll probably get released on vinyl or something.
Oh yeah, of course.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We can wait.
Yeah, we
I
can
want
wait.
mine.
I want mine so much. That and action figure. Do you understand, world? We need action figures of Turbo Kid.
We're gonna have a Zeus action figure too.
Oh my god, I would kill for like action figures of Turbo Kid. That would be so cool.
That'd be awesome.
That was the pinnacle. Like being kids, you would go watch a film or watch your favorite cartoon, and then you would have an action figure of your favorite cartoon. You would be so happy.
Well, basically, He-Man or all that kind of cartoon was only made to
Sell action,
toys.
actually sell action
And the
figures.
toys were great. So.
Yeah, they were so good.
Better than the actual the cartoons themselves.
But you know, we love them. I was a huge fan of Master of the Universe and She-Ra. I was a huge fan of She-Ra as well, and I love them. But you watch them now.
Yeah, maybe it's better to keep them.
Yeah, like, keep that awesome
Keep
memory.
it as a memory. Yeah, exactly. How did you guys because you had Michael Ironside in this movie, who's a pretty big star. Like, how did you go about getting him? Was it just like an email? Or?
No, it was completely random. We were at TIFF and Toronto International Film Festival, and we were in a cocktail. And
Let's say we always had him in mind. Like, it was a dream to have him, but we thought it was impossible. Like,
So when we wrote the script, we had it in mind. We wrote this character with his voice in our heads.
So, but you know, you dream, and then Michael bumped into one of his friends, and one of his friends said, "Hey, I'm going to that cocktail. Do you want to come?" So he was not even supposed to be at that cocktail, and we were sitting there, and he walks in. And everything started moving in slow motion, and we all looked at each other going, "Oh my God, it's Michael Ironside! It's Zeus! It just walked in!"
So we went to our producer, Anne-Marie Gélina, and we told her, Michael Ironside is in the house, we need to talk to him. And she just took our hands, puts us in front of him, and just said, I'm a producer, I'm producing their movie, they're going to pitch to you. And she left. So
and we live pitched Michael, and he really liked the project. We sent him the script, and he loved the script and said, I want to be part of that film. I absolutely want to be part of that film. And that was it. That's how we connected with Michael. And I mean, he's incredible. He's become such a good friend and a little bit of a mentor, and he's great. He has so much experience. He's worked literally with everybody. So he's great.
And it seems like he does a lot of sci-fi too. That's kind of his niche.
He's a huge sci-fi fan. Blade Runner is his favorite film, and he knows the book by heart, and Electric Sheep does the Electric Sheep.
Do androids dream?
Electric Sheep. But I don't know, it was just fun. talking about it, and yeah.
And he's a Canadian legend, sci-fi legend. So
Yeah, he's a
him-
movie legend. So it was great.